The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. A game that was once the most beloved Zelda game of all time, and is now one of the most divisive video games in history. Some people still hail Ocarina of Time as one of the best video games of all time, but more and more people are popping up criticizing the game, going even as far as to say that Ocarina of Time isn't even a good game. What's my opinion on it? It's alright. So, I don't feel like being a negative Nancy on this Zelda month. This is all about my appreciation of the franchise, so I will be talking about the good aspects of the game and why I believe this game was so beloved for such a long time. The first reason I think Ocarina of Time was so beloved is because of the context of when it came out. What I mean by this is, look at what the Zelda series was before this: Legend of Zelda, Link's Adventure, and Link to the Past. If you want to be an asshole, Link the Faces of Evil, Zelda Wand of Gamelon, and Zelda's Adventure were also out at this time, but do we really want to count those? The Zelda franchise at this time has been nothing but 2D adventures where you explore a reasonably sized map, play through dungeons, and talk to townspeople if you want to or get hints towards side quests. Now, imagine being in the year 1998. You played Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past 7 years ago. You finally hear a new Zelda game is on the horizon, and it will be in 3D. Then, when it comes out, you have a full-fledged story with twists and turns, many varied environments to explore, and an entirely 3D world. This game makes you feel like you're on a high fantasy adventure, and you cannot take that away from this game. Sure, some of the ways the mechanics are executed are a bit simplistic and not that special by today's standards, but in 1998, this was insane. A video game like this felt like it wasn't even possible. I can definitely see why someone in the year 1998 would see this and be blown away. You also have to give this game credit. It took the gameplay of Link to the Past and transitioned it into 3D pretty well. Not only is this the grandest story that Zelda has had to date, it also explained the origin of everything. Everything that this game established is built upon in the rest of the franchise. Not only does this game tell the story of the Hero of Time that was teased in Link to the Past, but they also explain the town names within Link's Adventure. Probably the most important revelation of them all is that this game shows the origin of Ganon. This is the game that introduced Ganondorf into the franchise. Though every Zelda game has a different generation of Link and Zelda, Ganondorf is always the same guy. Ocarina of Time is the epicenter of the timeline because of that. Having arguably the most important story in the franchise is bound to make the story seem as grand as it can possibly be, even if the franchise has done more since then. As big as Wind Waker was, it really just was a sequel to Ocarina of Time. As cool as Majora's Mask was, it was just a sequel to Ocarina of Time. As far back as Skyward Sword went, it was just explaining the Master Sword to give more context for Ocarina of Time. Everything ties back to Ocarina of Time. Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time affected the video game industry almost as much as Super Mario 64 did. Just like how Super Mario 64 became the standard of how 3D platformers were handled from then on, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time became the standard of how 3D exploration action RPGs were handled. Games like Fable, Hobbit, Dark Cloud, and many, many more have taken what Ocarina of Time established and made it their own. Hell, even every Zelda game after this, up to Breath of the Wild, stole the format that Ocarina of Time invented. This is honestly why I think Ocarina of Time became so divisive in the first place. Games that have taken Ocarina of Time's formula have taken it and done it better in the 25 years the game has existed, that it's easy to look back and see the flaws the original system had. It's easy for me to see why Ocarina of Time is so heavily criticized nowadays. The gameplay is bare bones, the walking is boring, the minigames can have very janky controls, and a lot of the enemies in the game have the
wait, attack, wait, attack. There is so much goddamn waiting.
If you really look at it though, especially as a game from 1998, you can see how groundbreaking this game truly was, and you can see the reasons as to why this game was so beloved for so long. What do you guys think? What are your opinions on Ocarina of Time? Overrated? Underrated? Greatest game of all time? Let me know in the comments below and we'll have a nice conversation. I respond to most of the comments, so rest assured, I read them. Merch and socials are in the description below, and become a channel member to see what the next Zelda Month video is. I'm Bottles and I bid you, my well-esteemed guests, adieu.